Good evening, viewers. Konsoko mletu mfwila, my names are Himba Malambo, your host for tonight, and my co-host tonight is Lancy Banda, who will be joining us later in the studio. He's held up somewhere, but at the moment, I'm with Evangelist, who is our guest, as usual, our counselor, our father, our grandfather. Evangelist, what can I say about you? A man who is experienced in building homes and relationships. I welcome you to Nsaka, and I invite all of you to feel free as we discuss a very important topic. Before we get to our topic for this evening, Evangelist Shaabula, welcome to the program and good evening.
I'm grateful. Thank you so much for receiving me. And I just want to welcome all those that have joined us, especially for the first time. We just want to ask them to feel free, ask questions, and make contributions if they can. So they are welcome. Thank you so much.
How has been your weekend? Any achievements you'd love to share with us?
I'm a farmer. I talk about the farming. So I was busy in the field. That's all.
Good to hear. I'm sure we've got plenty of maize to come and roast. And well, viewers, welcome to the program once more. Our topic of discussion this evening is how to identify and deal with abusive and intoxicated relationships. Please bear with me. My voice is not really clear because I've been having a cold, but I'm sure everyone is able to hear me clear and loud. And as usual, you can join us through Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. You're welcome also to come through in the studio through our link. Once more, I welcome everybody and I say, Isentwishe Nsaka. This program is not ideal for viewers under the age of 18. Please, ngapaya abana mpepi. Bebe nwakalale obaye muru muyimbi baye batambeko olobaye pansaka yaba iche. Ini nsaka yaba kalamba. Evangelist, am I right?
You are very right. Very, very right. Thank you.
At this moment, Evangelist, over to you. Please take us through the program and definitely allow viewers to join in later.
Thank you so much. Just want to say that the topic we have today is almost similar to the one we had last week when we were talking about the red flags in a relationship, red flags in a marriage. But tonight we are going to talk about the identifying an abusive relationship, identifying an abusive marriage, or identifying a toxic marriage, or identifying a toxic relationship. There are certain times when we confuse abuse for love. Sometimes we confuse love for abuse. When we are in love, there are certain things we do which, when they are done, we think the other person loves us, or loves me, or loves you, when actually you are being abused. Now, I would like to define what abuse is. You know, I must say that one of my professions was teaching. I'm also a teacher. Now, a teacher of English, of course. The issue here, we are going to look at the word abuse. The word abuse has got two syllables, or two divisions. or two parts. There's the AB, which is ab. AB, which is ab. And then there's the USE, which is use. USE, which is use. Now, another meaning of AB, that is ab, is bad. When somebody says ab, he's talking about something that has got a negative connotation. When you say use, you are talking about the wrong use or bad use, wrong use. Abuse, the word abuse means wrong use or bad use. In other words, we are going to look at how we misuse love for certain things. We confuse love for abuse. In a relationship, when you are not very, very careful and you are in love with the person that you love, most of this abuse will not be seen to be abuse. You'll be thinking the gentleman loves me so much, or you'll be thinking your lady loves you so much. And if you tend to understand that he is actually abusing you, in most cases, what will clip into your mind is that you will say, at one time, this gentleman will stop abusing me. Or when we get married, this act will not be there because it is just in this relationship. I want to tell you, my friend, that abusers do not change when you get married. Just like a fish, when you take it out of water and you put it in the pan or pot, it will not change from fish to a buffalo or to a bird. A fish will always be a fish. A monkey in the bush is the same monkey in the city. So it does not change. A person who has got a certain weakness, in most cases, will not give up that weakness. So you need to be very careful that when you are in that relationship, there are certain things that you need to be careful with, which you must identify from the word go before you get married. Or if you are already married and these things, they begin to appear, you must know that this person is abusing you. And since he is abusing you, it is important for you to take precautions before it is too late, before you regret it. I'll give you examples. I'll talk about just a few abuses. I'll talk about physical abuse. I'll talk about sexual abuse. I'll talk about economic abuse. And I'll also talk about emotional or psychological abuse. I said I'll talk about physical abuse, sexual abuse, economic abuse, emotional or psychological abuse. And in detail, physical abuse. Physical abuse, when you are in love, you find that this person will sometimes inflict pain on you. We call it physical harm or body injury. Now, this includes using force against you, including keeping you in one place so that you cannot move or leave or escape or be free with other things. Now, in this one, we are looking at also your behavior. Your behavior can force a person to cause you to be positioned in that place where you are kept. But even then, it should not be against your will. So, and this particular time when you complain, in most cases, this person will use the physical strength upon you. He will be physical. He will harm you. He will cause bodily injury to you. But when this happens, you must know that he's not doing it out of love. Sometimes people will say, no, he did this because he loves you. No, if he loves you, he will not beat you. If he loves you, he will kiss you. If he will love you, he will buy some perfume for you. If he loves you, he will bring flowers for you and not harming you. The other issue which we must understand is that if a person you are living with, or he's your boyfriend, or your girlfriend, or your husband, or your wife, denies you access to the following things. Number one, food. You are staying with them. They don't buy food. They don't give you food. They will go out without leaving food. The other point, they don't pay even for water. They are not even there. You are living with them, and there's no clothing. You have no clothes to put on. You have no shelter, and you have no rest. You must know that you are being abused. That is abuse. Because how can you live without food? How can you live without water? How can you live without clothing, without shelter, or a place to rest? So these are pointers of an abusive relationship. The other one which we must understand is that you have got a boyfriend, a girlfriend, your husband or your wife torturing you or subjecting you to humiliating treatment. There are others that will actually chain you or lock you up in the house. You will not leave the home. You have to use the toilet or just the toilet in the bedroom. You cannot go to the other toilet, the main toilet, or do whatever you want to do. When all these things are done, you must know that you are being abused. And that abuse can cause you to go into depression. And this is serious. The other point that I would like to bring out is actually having sex with another person who abuses you or humiliates you and lowers your dignity and violates your integrity. This is not right. If you've got a boyfriend and your boyfriend forces you to have sex with him, forces you to have sex with her, that is actually toxic. It is actually humiliating you. It is mistreating you. It is a punishment. And for such, you must know that you are being tortured. And it is not right for you, for anybody to have sex with you against your wish. Against your wish. If it is a boyfriend, even if he's going to marry you, even if he's your husband, you cannot have sex with a person that is aggressive. Not at all. So that kind of sex is actually, it will humiliate you and then bring your dignity down. The other point that we must understand here is under sexual abuse is that the person that you have sex with should also be able to disclose to you that they are sick. If they've got HIV, he must say that he has got HIV. If it is STDs, he should be able to disclose to you that he or she has got STD. I want to emphasize on this one, Himba and CJ. I want to emphasize a lot of people, they have killed or they've contributed to the sickness of their colleagues or the people they've called a boyfriend or girlfriend, husband or wife. They know too well that they are sick. They do not want to give prior information to that person for that person to be aware that they will be infected with HIV or any other STI if no measures are taken. And this, Himba, it is an offense. One can go to prison up to the period of 5 to 7 years because you failed to disclose your status to the other person. I will repeat this. I have dealt with this problem in large numbers, Himba and CJ, that some people, they know too well that they are sick. They've got infections, and yet they will go ahead to sleep with that gentleman. They will go ahead to sleep with that lady, knowing that they are not healthy, knowing that they are sick. So this is an abuse, and this abuse is serious. It can lead one to a conviction of not less than 5 to 7 years. So we need to understand that such things can create problems for us. The other issue that we must understand, which I talked about, is economic abuse. When you are married, and then this guy unreasonably begins to deny you or any financial resources to you which you are entitled to, and or any household necessities, including medical expenses, school fees, mortgage, or rent, that person is actually abusing you. Because if you are a wife and the husband does not pay rentals by law, now Himba, I'm talking as a former lawmaker, as a former lawmaker. The issue here is that if your husband fails to pay rentals, he can be taken to court and he can be fined or punished, including a sentence or a conviction of 2 years for failing to provide, one, school fees for the children, or medical expenses, or mortgage, or just rentals, or anything that has got to do with the interests of the children and yourself. So this is also an abuse. You are being abused because your dignity is lowered. So when this begins to happen, you must know that your friend is actually abusing you. It can be a husband who is out of employment. The wife is in gainful employment or running a business, but you are not supporting your husband. Himba, you're not supporting your husband.
I'm listening.
And your husband, yes, you are listening. Thank you so much. And you are not supporting your husband. You say, no, nalema mani ndakatala mebo. Ya indameka 2 years, damulisha huyu. No. Even him, when he was working, when he had employment, when the business was running, he fed you, he kept you, he paid rentals, water bills, school bills, and all medical expenses and other bills. Now it is your turn to take care of your husband. So in short, what am I saying here? It is actually termed as an abuse because you've got the capacity to help your gentleman and to help the children. In this case, it is not only your partner, it is also those that have got vested interest in you and what you are doing. So the other issue which we must understand here,
Evangelist Shaabula,
actually, yes.
Just hold your thought there. But the Bible says a man shall provide. What is your reaction? It doesn't say a man and woman. It's very clear on that. What is your reaction?
Yes. Let's do some cross-reference in Bible study. The Bible says a man shall provide. But the Bible, the same Bible, in the same chapter, the Bible says the woman was a helpmeet. A helpmeet. Helpmeet. When the Bible says a man is a provider, it does not leave out the woman's responsibility. The woman is to help the gentleman meet his aspirations. It is
But I
not
shouldn't
just
be the major provider.
hello?
But I shouldn't be the major provider.
No, here the Bible does not say that this one is the major provider. The Bible says the husband shall provide, and the lady shall work with this gentleman in providing provisions. So it is 50-50. In other words, the Bible is good. God is good. That's how we put it. So you go when you see the Bible it doesn't say, it says help meet, not help mate. It is not help M-A-T-E. It is help M-E-E-T. Help meet. It means the help must get to a level where it can embrace each other and be able to produce provisions. Let me continue. The other issue which we must understand is, for example, again, if your partner decides to deprive you or any of your dependents, for example, you've got a boyfriend and you've got a child, whether that child came into the marriage from another father, and you have a child whose interest depends on what you are doing. Then you have got a boyfriend who comes into your life and begins to eat and chew what belongs to the children. What I'm saying, eating and chew. For example, you've got a house. This man comes there with the good stories. You know, if we sell this, we can do this business and we'll make 10 million out of this. So let's sell the house. You try to refuse, he coaxes you, he talks to you nicely, he convinces you, then you agree to sell the house. Now, this gentleman is actually abusing the children because the children, they've got a vested interest in this property. And their life depends on this particular property. And if it goes, then it means the lives of the children are lost and lost forever. So we must understand that such a person should not be allowed in that relationship. The other abuser, CJ, is a person who denies you the right to seek employment. He says, you are my wife, I don't want you to work. Or I do not want you to engage in any income generating activity. Utanochiti business, no business. I don't want you to work. I don't want to do any business. This is actually abuse. He's abusing you. The question is, why then did you go to school? Why then did you achieve those higher classes that you attained, or those higher attainments? The idea here is for you to be somebody, not only to be a housewife. No, not at all. So when somebody refuses, when a husband refuses you to work, you can't work, and gives you examples, no, there are children here, there are what and what. What about himself? What? And in fact, that should be the cause. It should be the reason why you should work, because of the children. So here, both of you have got the right to work. There are some people, some men, especially men, who intentionally want to destroy your papers. They want to hide your certificate. They want to mutilate your certificate. They want to burn your marriage certificate, your identity card, your national registration card, or any paper that will enable you find a job. They will either want to hide it, they want to tear it, they want to lose it, they want to set it on fire. So the whole thing is they want you to suffer and begin depending on them. Now, this is abuse of the highest order. And if found, you can be charged for arson. If you burnt it, you can be charged for arson because you have set fire to the property where the interest of the other person is. So that should not be allowed. Also, there are also men, there are also women who would not want even their husband to go out and do business. They think that they are going for women, they are going to misbehave, whatever it is. It should not be so. That is abuse of your gentleman. The other one is emotional or psychological abuse. What am I talking about here? I'm talking about the humiliating conduct towards a person, including insults. There are those who insult. They want to they want to call their wife or their girlfriend, "Yue chipuva yue, yue sakuno." You know, that kind of talk. Name calling, "Yue chichani yue," "you pig," "you swine," that kind of language. Or sometimes threatening, "I'll do this to you, I'll do this," causing emotional stress, leading to depression. So when you have such a relationship, you must know that you are in for it, and you should not allow yourself to get in such a relationship. This is very, very important, especially among you young people. There is a lot of abuse, calling your friend names, foolish, stupid, pig, whatever it is, idiot, all those, that kind of language. You want to cause emotional stress on your friend because they will sink into the shell, they will not be able to come out and expose their talent and their abilities. And such a person, you must be quick to identify that as an abuse. Sometimes, Himba, your husband might be very obsessive. Obsessiveness here, I'm talking about somebody who wants to hold you to himself. You know, in other words, jealous. He does not want you to do anything, or your wife does not want you even to go out and work, or even to go and have leisure with your friends. So even this obsessiveness is also actually abuse, which will constitute a serious invasion of the person's privacy, the liberties, integrity, or security. It is not right. It is not by holding a person to the chain or holding them by chain or by their nose that will keep them in your home. No. I want to stress this, CJ. A woman or a man can have sex even in your house. It is not only when they go out, then can they have sex. Sex is not only at work, because they don't carry, they don't leave their penises home, they don't leave their vaginas home, they carry whoever goes for work. If she's a lady, she will carry that vagina with her at work. The man will carry his vagina at a place of work or market or everywhere. No one leaves them behind. So let's not be foolish or be fooled that only when a woman says at home or a man says at home, then can he be free from sexual activity. No, not at all. We'll cheat ourselves. It depends on the character of the individual, the nature of that particular person. The other thing that we need to know is abuse that causes mental injury. There is abuse that causes mental injury, especially to the children below the age of 16 years. If this is committed in their presence. So if you have your children and your husband is saying things that will cause mental injury to the children. In Tonga we say bana tawede kuhamatusi. Children should not hear insults, terrible insults, because we say that their ears will close. It's not the ears that close. It will create emotional stress on the children. So such should not be allowed. If you have got a boyfriend, you've got a child outside marriage, and you've got a man that comes to you, and he is abusing you in the presence of your children, or even if you are only the two of you in the bedroom or anywhere, but the language is foul, the language is bad, you must know that you are headed for emotional stress. As I end, forcing you to get married against your will, also it's an abuse. The person who will do everything possible, or say, no, I've got money, you must be married to me. Here's a car. Even if he gives you a car, gives you a house, gives you a shop, gives you a plane, gives you a Uber, gives you a bicycle, whatever he gives you, and then it is still against your wish, then you should not get married. I would rather ask you to say, get married to a poor man you love, who will take care of you and respect you for who you are. Having said this, ladies and gentlemen, I lay my burden and invite questions and your comments. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Evangelist, and we thank you for that information. And Evangelist, inga variaba umeabatemati valeta you've gone out. This man can't praise his partner. Madam, you're looking nice. Limbelo varefu manufu mapanganda. He'll be even like, nanga ivemwa vala this short skirt you're wearing, you are not dressed properly. But the moment you get out there in public, you'll be the first one to appreciate other people's wives or other people's partners, or even his opposite sex friends. What do you have to say about that?
Himba, that's a good question. Men who do not appreciate their wives do not comment favorably about their dressing, what they've cooked, what they've done, their achievements even at work, in business, the good work, how they've handled a naughty child, a difficult situation. The gentleman is just quiet. First of all, they are selfish. Meaning that they feel that it should not be you. It should not be you, it should be them. The other one is that they're intimidated. They feel that it should be them and not you. Then the other one is they're retrogressive. They will not go forward, they will always go backward, because they want to suppress. I said suppress and compress and press down. That is PhD. Pull her down. Now, that kind of thinking, that kind of behavior in a marriage, it takes you nowhere. You as a husband and the wife.
It looks like we've lost Evangelist. Well, Evangelist is while we are waiting for Evangelist, I think we can viewers to come in through the studio and contribute. You are most welcome to come in and join in this exciting topic we are having. This is Ubuntu channel. We are all welcome. Pansaka, I sent to Landeli Ashdia Pansaka. Sentwishe, we need to educate each other. Let's talk about things that affect us. Modifa, welcome in the studio.
Thank you so much, Himba.
Please go ahead with your comment.
All right, so thank you so much to the evangelist. I've seen that he's touched on quite a number of issues. So this particular time, I'd love to just find out from him, how do you deal with an abusive partner in a situation where he does not even know that is abusive? Because other people, it depends on how they are raised. Sometimes, people are not raised well, and to an extent, they think as though that is normal. So how would you tell them that this is actually abusive when they don't realize that they are being abusive?
And thank you so much, Modfa. I will put that question in the question box as Evangelist comes back, which I'm sure he's going to come back and he's going to respond to this question. It's nice to see you and you look so beautiful, Modfa. Please stay in the studio with us. Mary, welcome to the program. Mary, welcome to the program. Okay, I think I'm going to go to Victor. Victor, welcome to the program. Okay, it looks like our fellow team members are not yet ready to come through. As soon as they are ready, we'll bring them in.
Hi, Himba.
Oh, hi, love. It's nice to see you. Please come in.
Sorry, my screen froze, so I was thinking nothing was working.
Okay, that's fine. It's nice to have you.
All right, so this evangelist has touched on a lot of aspects. So one of the things I'm going to just ask, there are men like Modifa asked who don't even know they're abusive because maybe of how they were raised or a few things that they follow. There are some people who tend to isolate their partners from everyone, all in the name of vakakona, they've got bad habits. And also there are also people who try to suppress their partners, especially, okay, in this case, men, under the theme of a woman should be submissive. Inganalanda nishnalanda. When he wants something done, if you're against it, it's a problem, there's a fight. So how do you deal with such partners? Because it is difficult out there.
Before you go, and I hope you are going to stay with us in the studio. What about, do you think it's only men who does that? Don't we have women who does that as well?
No, there are women that do that. Women that always want their way. It's either their way or the highway. There are people like that, and they're also. I think it works on both genders. I'm just saying it. Okay, for me, most of the time when I'm here, I speak from experience. So I would always try to ask a question from what I know so that I can deal with it in a better way if I ever encounter it again. Yes. So there are also women that have that notion of this is how it's going to be. If it's your way or the highway, or I don't like your friends, I don't like your sister, I don't like your brother, your uncle is rude, and all that stuff. They'll always want to isolate you from other people. I think that's a way of them trying to get like a control over you. But how do you deal with them? Because the evangelist did say that in such cases, such relationships, you might think this is love, and you don't realize that this is actually abuse until it's really taken a toll on you. So those are questions that we want to ask. These evangelists should come back first.
While we are waiting for Evangelist, I think I'd love to interact with these two beautiful women who are in the studio. Well, we invite other people to come through. The topic for tonight is dealing with intoxicated or identifying intoxicated and abusive relationships. So tulera ndaperia shifintu ifivi efe tumona ma relationships, is it? How do you deal with it? How do you identify? But now, Modifa, traditionally we are told ngomwami ali kututula nshali kutemwa. If your partner is very strict, that is love. What is your reaction to that? Modifa, please come in, please. Welcome, Evangelist. We have
back.
Thank you so much. This network is really, it's a problem. Yeah, what I'll say is that, it is important that a man should be able to appreciate his wife first. He should be the first one to support the wife, to appreciate her, to elevate her, to put her on cloud 10, so that the rest of the people can see her, put her in the limelight, build her confidence, build her faith. By so doing, she will also pull you to the level where she is. If you close your eyes and say, what is this? It is just jealous. You are jealous. You think others will fall in love with her.
Okay, it seems like we've lost Evangelist again. While we are waiting for him, Modifa, please come in. Modifa, please, you can come through. Okay. Mary, are you there?
I'm here.
I asked a question. I said, traditionally, that is love. What is your reaction to that?
For me, I'm very much against violence of any sort, especially between two adults. I always feel like in a relationship, we are all given us a chance or a choice to be civil. I don't expect umuntu mukulu to be expecting umuntu mukulu mnankwe to only obey when they are beaten. That's childish. And I don't know where you can root it from to say, why shan, but no. In any relationship, whether a man or woman, they are not allowed to beat their partner just because they want to subdue them to some sort of submission. When you're not finding a common ground, it's better to bring in a neutral person than become physical. That shows that you don't you decide to say, okay, since you don't want to listen to this or you don't respect my decision, it's better we find another solution, because violence is never ever a result. And yes, there are a lot of cases. I actually have a friend who was complaining to say, my wife, every time when we disagree, that's very unhealthy. That shows that there's some serious mental instability or mental health issue there. You don't have to end an argument or a difference in a fight. You just talk and say, okay, I work now for a panel change, or reason shall change. Why should you find a way in whichever direction? Violence is never the key. Always those people just need a lot of psychological help.
So what advice do you have? I think
that goes back to the roots of how that person was raised. There are families where you find that how do they say how you rewards and punishments. Punishment does not necessarily mean kukuma. I know in African tradition, Valanda to mwana kuuma, mwana umfa kuuma. And in Bible, to spare the rod and spoil the child. You don't necessarily have to be physical with the child. There are other punishment methods or reward methods that you can use to change behavior. If the evangelist is a teacher, he's gone through that part where they tell you there are ways in which you can discipline a person, there are ways in which you can change behavior, and violence is never on top of how you do that. So it all goes back to how they are raised. Very much indoctrinate kulan that pakti fye umfwe paka bakumi. Muntu ngakuma ife yakabaletwa bamami nga bakuma ndiyakuma kozi nali kutemwa ndefa uchinje. But that's wrong. That's really wrong. I would advise that it's not done, especially between two people who believe that they love each other. They just have to find an amicable way of resolving their issues without violence.
Thank you so much. Before we go back to Evangelist, we have two people that have just joined us in the studio. May I just recognize their presence? CJ, welcome to the program.
Thank you. It's a pleasure. And good evening, everyone.
Good evening,
Good evening.
thank you.
And it's nice to have you. Lawrence, welcome to the program.
Thank you so much, Himba. Good evening, everyone, and good evening to the viewers.
Therefore, kumwona Lawrence Nishi. Back to Evangelist. Please pick it up from there.
Yes, I was saying it's important, to appreciate your wife. It's important to appreciate your husband or appreciating each other. It improves, relationship in the marriage. It also gives, zeal for the other person to do even much better. If your wife has dressed nicely and then she looks, like a lily in the valley, then you just know that, you've done a good job, because your wife must be admired. Let other men admire your wife. If they just then there's a problem. You need your wife must be a star. Let people know, but everyone should want to greet your wife. Then you've done it. So it's very, very important. Men who do not appreciate their wives, then they even looks through the window. He's just jealous. Send them over to Evangelist Shaabula so that he can help them change.
Thank you so much, Evangelist. Before I bring in Lawrence and CJ, there's a question which was raised by Modifa Achla Ipusha. Are there partners who are abusive? Mwana Kasholo Mwaume is abusive, but they don't know that they are abusive. How do you deal with them?
Sorry, I didn't. You are breaking. You said you are in a relationship and the gentleman abuses you, and you don't know that he's abusing you.
No. Yeah, it's like you're in a relationship, and then your partner is abusive, right? But him or herself, they don't realize that they're being abusive to you. How do you deal with it in such a situation?
Yeah. I want you to know that there's no one who will not know that they are abusing you. Everyone will know that what they are doing is not right, except that jealous will take over their sanity. The issue here is that they should be taught. Tell your boyfriend, your husband, your wife, your girlfriend that this act amounts to abuse. You do not like it. You do not want it. It is actually dehumanizing you. It is humiliating you. You don't need it. In the first place, make them aware that whatever is happening is unpleasant to you. You don't need it. So after you've talked to them and they've understood, they've heard that you don't like it, if they continue, you should quit that relationship. Please, 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 ladies. In fact, it's the ladies who would want to die in an abusive or toxic relationship, hoping that things will change. When you see, as I said last time, if your boyfriend begins to slap you in a relationship before you even get married, you should quit. Leave that gentleman. He's not even a gentleman. That's why he's hitting you. That's why he's beating you. That's why he's abusing you. That's why he's the name calling. He's calling you all sorts of names. He's abusing you. Don't get into that relationship. Vice versa. If the lady, begins to abuse you, then you don't need her. She doesn't need you. A relationship, as I said, is less like marriage. It is a 50-50 stake. You come in your 50%, I come into my 50%, we put together our 50-50, and then we build 100% of a relationship. No one should suffer because of a marriage. No one should suffer because of a relationship. It is a 50-50 stake that should be shared.
Thank you so much, Evangelist. CJ, over to you.
So now, Evangelist.
Yes.
I've had friends who've said, madam akamba kugwira ndarama amamba kupusa ninshule muwasira pa nyumba. So you find they'll say, madam afunika zinkhala sabe pa nyumba. Other men will say, madam safunika they say siningamsiye madam azienda kushita business. Azatireterera. So for such men, what is your advice? They've probably had an experience whereby they've tried to empower the wife, or whether it's the girlfriend, but the result that has come out in terms of attitude, respect, and the like is something else. What is your advice to such men?
Point number one. Yes, CJ, you are right. Some women, yes, when they begin to have money, they've got a good job, sometimes a far-paying job than the husband. Sometimes their business is doing better than the husband. Some women, they grow humps. She will grow a hump. In other words, she will be big, not because of weight. She will be big in commanding the activities of the marriage, of the family. They are there, of course. But that should not stop us from empowering our women. Reason, that person, you as a husband, one day you are going to die. Who is going to take care of the children when you be in the grave? The children will have to eat, continue eating. They have to go to school. They have to dress. They have got to meet the medical bills, electricity, water, and other things. They need money. And the mom should be able to provide, because she had a good husband who left wealth to her, and the children will not suffer. They will continue with that way of life. That is why we need to empower women, for them to work, for them to do business. Number two, your wife went to school. Do you think she went to school in order to be putting salt in the relish only, and cut garlic and tomatoes for you only? Not at all. She went to school in order to begin to benefit from her education. That's why she went to school. Vice versa. You cannot keep your husband at home. He went to school so that he can begin to help his family, and also father and mother and relatives. You know, especially educated people like you, Lawrence, Modifa, Mary, CJ, Himba, and anyone who is listening and watching us. School should be profitable. It is just like money. Money, that is why money is called the currency. And the currency means movement from one hand to another. If you just keep money in your wardrobe for ages and ages, then your money is just as useless as a tissue. Even a tissue is better because you use it in the toilet. So if education is going to be kept just at home in the kitchen, then that education is just as bad as anything that is not useful. So we should not allow that. Now, the message here, CJ, for those that refuse their wives from doing business, it also matters how that wife behaves. Some women, when they're given the liberty and the trust that they should go and do business, they want to go and in Zambia we said kuchiriza. Vaenda kuchiriza kuja, they will start drinking. If they are not drinking, they will go to wrong places. Even those who do not know how to dance, they will learn how to dance kalindula out there in places. Of course, because the gentleman wants to protect the marriage, he will say, no. I think my wife, you have overstepped it. So for us to look after our children and to continue this marriage, I think it's better for you to stay. It's because of the conduct of the wife. And so let us not lead them into temptation. So let's behave ourselves. Yes,
I'm a bit uncomfortable, Evangelist.
You're not comfortable?
Why? I'm a bit uncomfortable. Yeah, I'm not comfortable. The way you're coming out, as if we women, we never empower our men. We also send our men to school. We also, even them when they go out there to business, how much time misbehave? Kukonga konga mapiti koti. So you're just saying women. What about men?
Most of the time.
No, because the question,
most of the time.
Remember, Himba, if you want to pass an exam, answer the question. The question that came from CJ was Vakazi. Vakazi. So I'm addressing myself to the question. So I was answering Vakazi. Now, with what you have said, I also may say it. Even a lady should be able to empower the husband. And when the husband goes for work, or just for leisure, or just for shopping, or whatever it is, whenever he's alone, he must not feel divorced from the marriage. He is still a married person, even in the darkness, even away from his home, away from his wife, away from his children. He is still a father, he is still a husband. He should stay away from women, other women, except his wife. Are you comfortable?
Very.
Are you comfortable?
Thank you so much, Evangelist. Lawrence, will you please come in with your comment or your question?
Thank you so much, Himba. Actually, it's a commentary I'm going to run. I don't know. First and foremost, let me mention that I joined you guys late. I was out, but I know, and trust Evangelist touched on quite a number of things. But first and foremost, I want to make mention that it's my belief, that abuse is not only physical, being beaten and all that. It involves quite a lot. But one thing that I've come to see in this time I've been on earth is that sometimes what one person may term to be abuse, another person may look at it in other ways. What do I mean? A few months ago, I was with one driver I work with, and we went to his house. And if you hear how they talk to each other with the wife, you would think as if it's two Jerabos who are greeting each other from the station. And I raised my eyebrows at first. I was like, is he talking to his wife or what? And she responded, and they are very much comfortable calling each other very useless names and all that. They are comfortable. Try that. Pick it up. Go and call your wife that. She'll tell you, no. That is verbal abuse. So that's what I'm trying to say. So, not that I'm trying to qualify to say abuse is right. No, abuse, I think, should be condemned by every person out there and should not be tolerated in our society. But at the end of the day, what I've come to see is we have people who look at things differently and understand things differently, probably because of culture or because of how they were brought up. And what I'm trying to answer here is the question that Modifa had asked earlier on, where she was asking she was talking about people who might be abusive and are not aware. In those lines, if I take a reference, a child who grows from the driver in question where I went, will look at the way the mother and the father talk as serious, and may try to speak the same way to his wife or the husband when they come, and they will hear that no, that is actually abuse, change of society and all that. What I'm trying to say is that at the end of the day, it is important that as a couple, we learn to communicate and express our feelings, because what one couple may tolerate and feel is okay, another couple may not feel comfortable. What one person may feel is okay, another person will feel, no, actually, I feel like I'm being abused. And in that line and in that vein, I would love to say, let us report all forms of abuse, especially violence, to the relevant authorities, because we should not condone it actually in our society. The issue of beating women or women beating their husband and all that should be something that is primitive, and let us look at it like that. And I think with those remarks, that is where I will end. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Lawrence. Please go ahead, Evangelist.
Yes. You know, in law, today I'm in parliament. In law, it is not how the abuser feels and interprets the action. It is how the abused feels and interprets the action. It is how you, Himba, feels about the action of your husband. If you feel this is abuse, even if he does not understand it, going by law, he has broken the law of the land, and he faces a fine or imprisonment. You cannot go there and say, no, for me, I was expressing love. They said, yes, that your love is actually injurious to your friend. Your friend has been injured, and that's how it ends. So here, friends, it's not how the other person feels. It is how you yourself, who has been inflicted, how you feel. Do you feel comfortable? Are you okay with that? Then if you're not happy, then that is abuse. Now, the issue here, Lawrence, is for sure you came late. When I was talking about abuse, I talked about different types of abuse. That one we've covered. I will not go back to it. We've talked about it. In fact, maybe just because you are my wonderful boy, I talked about actually physical abuse. I also talked about sexual abuse. I talked about economic abuse. I talked about emotional or psychological abuse. So all this long talk came from those 5 factors. That is physical abuse, sexual abuse, economical abuse, emotional or psychological abuse. That's where everything came from. And we are looking at both sides, the women and the men, the wife and the husband, the boy and the girl, the lady and the gentleman. That's what we are looking at.
Thank you so much, Evangelist. In the studio, we've been joined by Vamofia. Vamofia, welcome to the program. This is Nsaka on Ubuntu channel. Vamofia, you're welcome.
Thank you so much. Good evening.
Good evening. Please go ahead with your...
Yeah, I wanted to find out. The evangelist spoke about someone getting infected by the partner with AIDS. So I wanted, because I had a relative who died after, I think he had depression. after he found out that he was infected. And then how will you help someone who's in a marriage and they found out after they got married and they have children and they're still in that marriage? How can you help such a person to move on?
The question, she was breaking. Did she say that somebody was infected in the marriage and somebody died, and then how do you help them to move on? Is that the question? Did I get her right?
I think she's asking. There's somebody she knows who was infected and died of depression and all that. Now, in case someone is infected and all that, how do you help them to move on? Because of someone that they have experienced before got infected and died from depression and all that.
Okay. Now, to help the surviving partner, because the other one died. Now, how do we help the surviving partner? Yes.
No.
The issue here is that,
I think you have misunderstood the question. The question is, she once saw someone who was infected and could not accept and died out of depression, out of it. Now, if someone is in a marriage and gets infected, how do you help them to prevent them going that route of having depression and ending up dying?
I don't know, maybe it's here where I am. I've not gotten you right.
Okay, Evangelist,
would you please be kind enough to, yes.
Okay, so there are two situations. She says there's a first couple,
yes,
where one partner was infected by the other one, and when they discovered that, they got depressed and died. Okay, that's the first situation. Now she's asking,
one of them died.
Yeah, one of
them died. Just there, CJ. One of them died. You okay?
Yes, the one who was infected died after discovering that the partner had infected them, while the partner knew that he or she was sick. Now the question is, if say there's another couple, okay, where one has just discovered that the friend has infected them with a sickness, okay, how can you help such a couple? I mean, how can you help such a person, the one who has just discovered that, oh, my friend has infected me with a disease? They knew it. Instead of telling me in advance and protecting me, they went ahead and infected me without telling me. So how can you help this person who has just discovered that they've been infected, help them from falling in depression? Thank you. I think that's the question.
Thank you.
Yeah. I think thank you so much. Is it Mofia? Yeah, Mofia, thank you so much for that question. And I'm sorry that I did not understand the question. So I wanted to I wanted to understand it as I have done now. In the first place, I want to tell you, when I started here, I told you that if you know that you are infected by HIV or any other STD or STI, you are aware, you are conscious, and without taking measures, you decide to sleep with another person. In the process, you infect them, they get sick, they suffer, and then die. The person, the surviving person, I mean, then from there you get, I mean, you are aware of this. You must know that that is an offense. The person that you have infected, even before they die, if they want, they can take you to court. You get a fine or punishment, or you'll be convicted for a period of not less than 5 years, up to 7 years, between 5 to 7 years, for doing that because you knew. You may say that you didn't know, but you have to prove to the court that you didn't know. So, how do we help such a person? All we can say is that let that person decide, because the life that has been disturbed is theirs. If they want to go to court, let them go to court and punish that person, because that person is out there to destroy society. He wants to close families. He wants to kill human beings. So that one is a murderer. That person must be punished. If they want to go to court, let them go to court. If they want to forgive, let them forgive, because that is what they want. But that person must be taught a lesson, or should be spoken to, or should be counseled to understand his situation and how explosive it can be if others are infected. How many children will be fatherless and motherless because of one act that you have carelessly done in your life? So it is important that such people are talked to, they are counseled, so that they can understand the results of such behavior. So in other words, what I'm saying is they must be talked to. Two, if you want to take them to court, take them to court. But go there and prove in court that actually this sickness that you have did not come from James. It came from Shaabula. Prove in the court of law. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Evangelist. And Director, may we have the comments from the public? CJ, will you please take us through the comments and the other questions from our platforms?
Okay. There's a question here from Jonathan. How does a man deal with an abusive wife without fear of stigmatization? Okay. Okay, the other question here is from Lawrence. In an event your wife beats you blue and black, how much stigma should a man expect, even from law enforcement agencies, when reporting? I feel men are badly treated in these lines. Vamasekewa vamuna iwe mkazi angakumenye bwanji. Okay, there's another one here. Whatever is the man should be the head of the house and be a provider, unlike vice versa. Taking advantage of the lady being a helper, eventually it becomes an abusive marriage. I think these are the, I would say, questions that have come through. Okay, the rest, let me just go through them quickly. Chavala says following. There's Caroline. Good evening, Ubuntu family, watching from Wansha. Okay, comes back and says having problems connecting in the studio. Oh, okay. There's Ernest Mkelevai saying I'm following. There's Kennedy Mumba. I'm watching from Dola. Edith, great show. Blessings Jelo, watching from Northgate. Okay, there's Soldier Boo Enoch there. Okay, I think that's about that. Okay.
Thank you so much, CJ. As we're about to wrap up and as we're waiting for Evangelist, I'm going to give each one of us. Okay, Evangelist, welcome to the program. And please continue.
You. Yeah, men who are badly treated. Your wife beats you blue, black and blue, green and yellow. and deep purple and indigo. And you go to report at the police. You get to the inquiry at the police station, and then they begin asking you, Mufuna Chan, no, I've come to report. My wife has beaten me, blue, black. And then you find these, women officers, and they begin laughing and cackling at you. They ask you questions. Munaimwa gona or munaimwa imirira or munaimwa niringa panchi. Kinari bwanki bwana kumumenya. You have the right to.
I think we've lost Evangelist again.
Those officers, you have the responsibility to report them, because they should accept you as a complainant, not as a weak man. You are not going there as a weak man who has been battered. You are going there as a victim, not as a victor. You are going there as a victim of circumstances by your unkind wife. So you've got the right to be protected. Yes. Some women are too strong, very, very strong. So be careful, but report them if there is need. Then the other question was, how does a woman does what? The first question.
Taking advantage of a woman being a helper, it develops into abuse.
Yeah. The issue is that, the woman, we should not take advantage of anybody. Whether it is man or female or male, female, we should not take advantage. We are equal partners, as I said in the first place. We are equal partners, and we need to share responsibilities in the home and work together towards development, towards happiness, towards the joy, towards the education of our children, towards the happiness and the progress and development of the family. When you work together, the two of you, as a husband and wife, happily married, I want to tell you, even God puts his hands upon your marriage, upon your home, and you advance, you progress. Most of the people that have not progressed are those who fight and quarrel in their home. And this one says, this is my money. That one says, this is my car. This one says, that's my house. When you start pulling chitenge, na wina adonsa ku left, wina ku right, your chitenge will be cut into two. It will be torn in two, no matter what happens. So it is important to be united in what we are doing. So this issue of intimidating each other, I'm saying this as my closing remarks. The behavior of intimidating each other.
Hold your thought. You should be the one to speak last. No. Hold your thoughts. I'm going to go to Modifa. Modifa, please give your last remarks. Is that a question? Is that a contribution? Please come through, Modifa.
All right. Okay, I've been following and I've been very attentive. Obviously, this has been very productive because there's a lot to learn from what the contributions and everything. So my last remarks would be, I don't know if this could be a question that can be answered in a certain way, but my mind immediately after the evangelist was speaking took me to women who feel submission is abuse to an extent, because we women are usually taught you need to be a gentle spirit, you need to be tolerant, you don't need to stalk back, you need to just let everything come in. That is what is being, especially in churches, sometimes that's what we're taught is the right thing. So to an extent, I was wondering, where is the line between that kind of submission of being quiet, don't talk back, and also where does now abuse come in? Because to an extent, you can be completely abused as a result of trying to be this calm person who's always taking in anything. It comes, you swallow it. It comes, you swallow it. So that too just popped into my mind. But overall, I feel it's important for us to be vigilant, to be wise, and also to be independent. I know relationship you're supposed to be together, but try to stand alone to an extent where you're able to be firm when all these challenges come. You're able to overcome them, not to be so to lean on a partner in a way that you lose yourself in the process. I'm sure that's where it comes in, where you talked about the education as well. Your papers are not just for nothing. So make sure that you're able to support yourself financially, because people stay in abusive environments because they want finances, they want money, and they're not able to stand on their own. They're not emotionally independent. Their life totally depends on their partner or their marriage, and that environment can be very toxic. So submission and abuse, what level? What do you draw the line? This is what has come into my mind, because I know a lot of people think being good is taking abuse, just swallowing it and being the long-suffering person. Yes.
Thank you so much, Modfa. At you become so submissive to a point that even when your husband beats you, it's you to apologize. I'm sorry. Ibakakutana drama needs you to say, I'm sorry. That is the level of
It is just a
submissive. Just
story.
imagine.
Yes.
Okay. Any reaction, Evangelist?
Yes. I want to say this. Submission, again, I want to tell you that, I'm an English teacher. Don't forget. But, the word sub, there are also two syllables here. Sub means under. Sub means under. Mission means the responsibilities. You carry the responsibilities of somebody. Now, when you submit, you are saying, I exhort you that you can lead. Whilst you lead, you should follow. As you follow, you need me. Submission is not a sign of weakness. Submission is a sign of understanding that in any relationship, there must be a head, there must be a leader. Now, when you read the Bible, if you are to read the Bible, Ephesians chapter 5, verse 21 and verse 22 says, a woman or wife, submit yourself unto your husband, unto your own husband, as Christ, as the church submits to the church. Now, here the submission here is not that the gentleman should be a supervisor with a stick in the hand. Here means a leader who will chair meetings and be able to help to direct meetings so that life in the home can be okay, there can be orderliness. And verse 21, Modifa, listen. Verse 21 of Ephesians chapter 5 says, submit one to another, between husband, one to another. That is English again. One to another. One to another, it means now I submit, you also submit. I submit to you, you also submit to me. That's what the Bible says. It does not mean that the wife is the only person that you submit. Not at all. And I've heard a lot of preachers, when they preach and they teach this particular subject here, they don't go back to verse 21, which also tells men to submit to their wives. Here it is interwoven, interrelated, interdependent. So you have to submit to your husband, and the husband must be able to submit to the wife. What does this mean? It means working together, planning together, executing ideas together. No abuse, but more love. No abuse, but more planning. No abuse, but more support. I said no abuse, but more support for each other. That is how it should be. So Modifa, here we need to be very careful. Now I'm taking you to part B, and I want everyone to listen. Himba, listen. CJ, listen. Mary, Lawrence, and everyone, listen. I have lived in the Western world. I've lived in America, in many states there in America. In that UK of yours, I've lived in so many places. You know, Harrington, Ruislip, all those places, central London, I've been there. I've lived in Germany, Frankfurt. I've lived in Italy, in Roma. I've lived in Bombay, India there. America in 5 states. I want to tell you, the marriages in the Western world, most of them are failed marriages. I'll repeat, most of the marriages in those countries, I'm not trying to cast mud. No. There are statistics which I can give you. If you want next week, I can come with the statistics and give you. I'll just give you, out of 100 marriages that take place in one weekend, by the end of the month, they will have lost at least 25 marriages will be gone. They will remain with 75. I'm talking in 1 month. By the end of 6 months, there will be 3 marriages remaining, 97 are gone. And the reason, according to the survey that was conducted, the reason is there's too much human rights that people hide into. That it is my right, it is my right. If you go back to the Bible, God did not put those rights in that way. He said the husband is the head of the family. God put it very, very clear. Unless if one is an atheist, if one is a Christian who understand that God put a man, that he should be a leader. So if we go by our culture here in Africa, Himba, if we go by Tonga culture, you get married to a Tonga man and you follow the Tonga culture. You follow the Bemba culture, the Ngoni culture, the Luvale culture. Your marriage will stay longer and you'll be happier. Because you talk so much about it. Your husband wants to direct you and tell you what to do. You say, no, my rights. No, Basa, let's do this. You can't go to that place. And then you also want to bring you a bill of rights. In marriage, it doesn't work. When we get married, certain rights, they die. Before you got married, you could go back home around 22 hours. Nobody can ask you. But when you get married, you can't go back home. You find your husband in bed.
Hold your thought. CJ, your last remarks.
Yeah, my remarks. I also had the question, but he would take another 20 minutes, and time has gone.
Okay, I'll chop. Ask your question. I'll chop. I'll cut.
My question is about a partner. Let me say a wife who doesn't want to do anything. Afuna che kunkhala pa nyumba, and as a man you provide everything. Kumiesa ko business ndarama zingena chabi. Trying to encourage and empower her to do A, B, C, D, and that kind of a thing. They just want to sit, eat, and cook, and that's all. How
CJ, a partner. A partner, not vazima. Kuna vamuna vamadia chensima, valindira mkazi alete nsima pa nyumba. Vamuna valiko. A partner, not a woman.
But since that makes you feel good, a partner. But when the comment Jenzi akambati, a man should always. So yeah,
it is sad that such a person can be married. Well, if you know that you cannot work, you are a lazy person, don't get married. Don't be a burden to your friend. The Bible in 2 Thessalonians chapter 3 verse 8 says, he that will not work should not eat. And therefore, if you marry a wife who cannot work, please, you should not eat. She's a burden.
But in
Then
Shaabula,
she just, which means she just came there for production, as a production unit. She's a broiler or a layer in the home. No. Even layers, they've other responsibilities that they do. Actually, they give us manure. She can't be a layer. No. Manure mu garden. I'm
Evangelist,
done. Hello.
Mary, Mary, please come through.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, my closing remarks would be one of the ways that we man or woman can identify a toxic relationship is if in that relationship you are not free to express yourself, if you are scared of your partner. There's a difference between fear and respect. So there are people who think as akanyo punish, that's respect for them, but there has to be a difference. If you are not happy, there's no way when your partner comes wamboganiza, yeah man, a relationship with, especially with someone who you're saying, I'm going to build a life with this person, should be a place of security. That person, that man, that woman should be your, as most people say, should be your peace. You go to work, you have a stressful day, you go in bus, mavutana na conductor. When you go home to your wife or to your girlfriend, or no, your wife, sorry. When you go home to your wife or your husband, you are supposed to go and be happy. That's where you're supposed to be like, I am home. So once you find that when you're in that relationship and these things are not there, I will leave, run if you can, because that even I remember when my mom and dad, when I was still living with my dad, I'm gonna check get to go, but my papa means he's like, but once he sees my mom, you literally see his face relax. That's how you're supposed to be in a relationship. If those things are not there, if you're not free, if you're scared, if you're not happy, you can't, you're always afraid of what next. You just see your phone ring, what next? If you have those, then that's a very toxic relationship. So the best thing to do is leave and find someone you're comfortable with, you feel safe with, both men and women. Most people will say, I don't think women should feel safe with men. No. Even when a man comes to a woman, he has to feel safe enough to be relaxed, to be vulnerable. If into the office, he should be able to express himself, because if you don't have that environment in your relationship, that place is toxic. Leave it. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much,
Kondo
Mary.
kunywa.
Evangelist.
I agree with her. She's right. She's very, very right. I agree with her. You should be free to discuss, to laugh, to jump, to touch him, to jump on his body. You are free to touch him anywhere, anyhow, and whichehow, whatever you want to do, you should be able to do that. Mary, you are right. If those freedoms cannot be guaranteed, leave. Don't even leave, but run away. Flee.
And don't even look back. Evangelist, last
don't
remarks.
look back. You don't look back, you turn into salt, a pillar of salt. Yeah, for me, what I can say is that, dear colleagues, these lessons that we are having on this forum, they are not meant to entertain you. They are not meant to embarrass you. They are not meant to annoy you. It's not a circus. It is not a theater. It is survival. It is life, and life eternal. It is a happiness and joy in your relationship, happiness and joy in your marriage. This is a way in which you can bring up children that will grow into better citizens of this nation and world, because we have put a firm foundation. So when I sit here to talk to you, I pray and say, Lord, let this word find room in the hearts of men and women, whoever will listen to this. So, ladies and gentlemen, help me do the right thing by you and me implementing this. I'm not only talking to you. Some of these things, they are also my weaknesses on my part. I'm also learning from the things that I say. Because certain things that I say here, God directs me to say this, when in fact I don't do it, but God wants me to do it. So together, you and me are sitting in the class of discipline to know how we can live together with our boyfriends and girlfriends, and also with our partners, husband and wife, and the children. Now, having said this, I want to conclude by saying it is important for you to identify, to see the red flags, to see an abuser, an abusive relationship, so that you do not become a slave of abuse in that relationship. When you see it, quickly find a way out. Don't walk, don't just run away, but flee and never look back, or else you will turn into a pillar of salt. I end here.
Thank you so much, Evangelist. And as we conclude our program, we would also want to remind our viewers that let us be careful the way we bring up our children in our homes, the way we talk to our partners in front of our children. Always remember that you are a role model to your children in that house. The way you talk may actually mold somebody to be an abuser in the near future. And always remember that most of the abusers in these relationships, it's either they come from a home where abuse was turned into normal, or they were abused at one point or another in life. So let us be careful what we do to our children, in front of our children, and the way we speak to them, so that we may have a responsible health society. To team, this has been Nsaka to Atotela. It has been wonderful being with you. All those that joined us in our studio, we are so happy and privileged to have you. We are making a date with you next time, at the same time, next Thursday, next week. Please come through to Keseisha Nsaka. It's good night from us, Ubuntu team. Bye-bye.
Good night.
Good.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Thank you so much.